They don't hear it coming. Thousands of feet above the desert, an MQ-9 Reaper traces a lazy arc in the sky, invisible against the pale blue. Its powerful cameras are locked on a convoy snaking through a dirt road in northern Mexico, capable of reading a license plate from miles away. Below, cartel gunmen ride confident, convinced the empty air means safety. Every movement, every heat signature, every burst of radio chatter is being recorded, analyzed, and transmitted in real time to a U.S. operations center hundreds of miles away. The operators know who they're watching, where they're going, and what's in the trucks. This is the promise and the tension of using U.S. drones to track and eliminate cartel targets in real time. The technology is already in place. Surveillance flights over Mexico have quietly expanded, feeding a constant stream of imagery, radio intercepts, and sensor data into U.S. and Mexican intelligence pipelines. High-value targets are flagged, tagged, and tracked. Unlike ground units, drones never tire, never blink, and can hover over a target for hours, waiting for the exact right moment to act. The confidence of the men below is a luxury they no longer possess. Continuous surveillance is the backbone of these operations. Modern drones like the MQ-9 don't rely on a single camera. They carry a suite of sensors that work together. Electro-optical cameras capture daylight images with razor detail. Infrared sensors pick out heat signatures even in total darkness, identifying hidden vehicles, concealed individuals, or recently used equipment. Synthetic aperture radar can pierce through dust, smoke, and light cover to detect movement. Radio frequency detection and signals intelligence tools capture the chatter, encrypted or not, between cartel operatives. All of it streams in real time to analysts who can cross-reference it with human intelligence reports from informants on the ground. Integration of intelligence sources is what makes the system lethal. A drone operator may spot a suspicious vehicle, but only by fusing that visual data with intercepted messages, GPS pings, and human reports can they confirm it's carrying a high-value target. That is how false positives are avoided and strikes are reserved for moments with maximum operational impact. This layered intelligence means the U.S. can prioritize not just any target, but the exact ones that disrupt logistics, leadership, or weapons distribution. They built their empire on secrecy, but we have simply made their secrets our own. When armed action is authorized, precision strikes come into play. Reapers can carry AGM-114 Hellfire missiles or guided bombs, weapons designed to destroy a specific vehicle or building while leaving the surrounding area largely intact.
Before we get to that, I need your help. I'm trying to hit 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I need your help. So I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe and help me out.
The goal is surgical elimination. Remove the target, avoid civilian casualties, leave minimal physical footprint. With a drone, the gap between identification and engagement can be minutes, not hours or days. If a cartel leader leaves a meeting unexpectedly, the drone can track, follow, and strike before the opportunity vanishes. Their window of opportunity is our window of engagement. The catch is political. Conducting drone strikes inside Mexico is fraught with legal and diplomatic risk. In most scenarios, U.S. drones operate in a surveillance role, feeding targeting information to Mexican forces for the final action. Direct U.S. strikes require either explicit permission from Mexico's government or covert execution, both rare, both controversial. The sensitivity is amplified by the fact that cartels themselves now use drones, sometimes armed, to attack rivals or security forces. That makes the drone battle space in Mexico a two-way environment where U.S. assets must constantly guard against enemy surveillance and interception. Coordination is key to success. Drone missions are not isolated flights. They're integrated into joint operations with Mexican military, federal police, DEA, and Homeland Security. On the ground, rapid response teams must be ready to exploit the aftermath, seizing documents, arresting secondary targets, or destroying remaining contraband. Real-time decision-making is where drones redefine the fight. In traditional operations, intelligence often arrives too late to catch a moving target. With live drone feeds, Commanders can watch events unfold as they happen. If a target vehicle diverts unexpectedly, the feed updates instantly, and strike or shadow orders can be adjusted on the spot. If a second high-value target suddenly appears in the frame, decision-makers can greenlight a strike in seconds. This fluid adaptability is lethal to a network that relies on predictable movement and safe windows of transit. Their timetable is no longer their own. The challenge is that cartels adapt quickly. They vary routes, use decoys, and move in convoys designed to confuse visual trackers. Some have deployed counter-drone measures, such as signal jammers, camouflage netting, or their own small drones to monitor the skies. The U.S. response includes counter-drone radars along the border, algorithms that can distinguish real targets from decoys, and persistence. Drones can wait for days if necessary, draining the target's ability to hide indefinitely. Beyond the battlefield, the presence of drones shifts the psychology of the fight. Knowing they can be watched anywhere, anytime, forces cartel leaders into a constant state of uncertainty. This paranoia itself becomes a weapon, slowing operations and making every movement a calculated risk. When strikes do occur, the message is unmistakable. The U.S. can see you, follow you, and end you, often before you know you've been found. For the forces tracking them, it means the power to turn intelligence into action in the time it takes for a commander to say one word: engage. Cartels have learned to hide in plain sight. Their power is no longer just in convoys, safe houses, or drug labs. It's in the encrypted messages they send, the cryptocurrency wallets they hide, and the propaganda they broadcast. This is where cyber warfare comes in, shifting the fight from the streets to the servers. It's a battlefield without borders, where decisive blows can be struck without firing a single bullet. The first advantage cyber warfare brings is access. By infiltrating cartel communications and databases, authorities can pull back the curtain on operations once considered untouchable. Spyware and hacking tools can slip into a cartel member's phone, silently extracting contact lists, location data, and transaction histories. Entire leadership chains can be mapped in weeks, revealing who gives orders, who moves the money, and who executes the violence. These aren't static snapshots. They're real-time feeds of movement, meetings, and operational plans. When investigators can see a shipment's departure point, its route, and its destination before it moves, they control the tempo of the fight. The technology that allows law enforcement to watch also allows them to listen. Intercepting communications, even those routed through encrypted apps, strips away the cartel's sense of invulnerability.
Before we get to that, I need your help. I'm trying to hit 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I need your help. So I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe and help me out.
We simply turn their privacy into a vulnerability. Once you can see and hear, you can disrupt. Cartels rely on digital communication to coordinate everything from local street-level sales to multi-ton international shipments. Cyber tactics can dismantle this chain by disabling encrypted channels, seizing control of social media accounts, or flooding networks with false data. Without secure communication, leadership loses control. Orders don't reach hitmen, shipments don't get rerouted, and payments stall. A network built on speed and coordination slows to a crawl, creating openings for raids, seizures, and arrests. The financial lifeblood of cartels is also vulnerable in the cyber domain. Increasingly, drug profits are laundered through cryptocurrencies, shell companies, and dark web marketplaces. Cyber warfare tools can pierce this veil, tracing blockchain transactions to real-world identities, freezing accounts mid-transfer, and seizing funds before they vanish through offshore havens. Forensic cyber analysis can unravel entire laundering schemes and identify the brokers, corrupt officials, and complicit businesses behind them. When millions vanish overnight, it is a public display of weakness that emboldens rivals and undermines loyalty within the cartel's ranks. Their digital fortress, it turns out, was made of glass. But this is not a one-sided fight. Cartels have begun to weaponize the digital domain themselves. They hire hackers to breach law enforcement databases, monitor police movements, and even plant misinformation in public channels. Some have deployed their own spyware to track rivals or intimidate journalists. That means cyber warfare against cartels must also be defensive, shielding government networks from intrusion, safeguarding informant identities, and countering digital propaganda before it spreads. The propaganda war is a front of its own. Cartels flood social media with videos of their firepower, messages of intimidation, and glamorous portrayals of narco-culture. Cyber warfare can dismantle this influence by removing content, suspending accounts, and replacing intimidation with exposure, pushing out footage of cartel defeats, seized assets, and the human cost of their trade. Every post removed, every recruitment channel shut down, denies them the narrative control they depend on to maintain fear and loyalty. What makes cyber warfare uniquely powerful is how it amplifies other forms of action. Intelligence gathered online can guide special forces to a target house, ensure a drone strike hits the right vehicle, or direct a maritime interdiction to the exact coordinates of a smuggling vessel. Cyber operations make these kinetic strikes faster, more precise, and less risky. Instead of sweeping entire neighborhoods, forces can hit a single building. International cooperation is critical here because cartel networks stretch across continents. Cyber warfare thrives when countries share intelligence and synchronize operations to seize and freeze assets across borders. A cartel leader's cryptocurrency wallet in Europe and a stash house server in South America can both be targeted within hours when the right partnerships are in place. We have simply made their invisible world visible and their digital assets intangible. Cartel hideouts are designed to vanish in plain sight. Camouflaged safe houses, jungle compounds, fortified ranches. They rely on secrecy and the assumption that by the time an attack is underway, it will be too late for the attacker to act with precision. Precision-guided munitions, PGMs, erase that assumption. They turn the concept of hidden into an illusion, striking without warning and with surgical accuracy that makes escape almost impossible. Unlike unguided, dumb bombs that follow a fixed ballistic path, PGMs are built to think mid-flight, adjusting, correcting, and refining their trajectory as they close in on their target. Whether they're guided by GPS, laser designation, infrared imaging, or active radar homing, these weapons can strike within a few meters of their intended aim point. That difference is the gap between leveling an entire block and obliterating a single reinforced room in the middle of it. Their fortifications, once a point of pride, have become a precise point of impact. The technology allows targeting with remarkable specificity. A laser-guided bomb can follow a beam invisible to the naked eye, painted onto a cartel's reinforced bunker by a surveillance drone circling miles away. A GPS-guided missile can hit an exact point, even if clouds, dust, or darkness obscure the target. Infrared seekers can home in on the heat from running generators or vehicles inside a compound. Mid-flight course correction is what transforms a good strike into a perfect one. If a target vehicle changes course after launch, a munition like the AGM-114R Hellfire can adjust in real time, swinging its path to meet the new trajectory. The weapon remains locked on and the strike lands as intended. This adaptability is critical for dynamic targeting, the military term for hitting a target of opportunity that appears suddenly and may vanish quickly. The element of surprise is magnified by range. An F-15E Strike Eagle could release a Joint Direct Attack munition, a JDAM, from outside audible range. A Reaper drone could deliver a Hellfire missile to a window without anyone in the compound hearing the aircraft. The precision of PGMs also makes them politically and strategically viable in environments where collateral damage must be minimized. A GPS, or laser-guided bomb, can hit a single floor of a building while leaving surrounding structures intact. This surgical capability allows forces to neutralize high-value cartel leaders or weapon caches in populated areas without alienating local communities. PGMs are also platform agnostic. They can be launched from fast jets, slow-moving drones, attack helicopters, naval vessels, or even ground-based artillery. The strike could come from anywhere. Integration with intelligence and surveillance assets makes this capability exponentially more lethal. A hideout identified by a SIGINT intercept can be confirmed visually by a high-altitude reconnaissance aircraft. Once confirmed, the coordinates are instantly uploaded to the weapons system, and the strike is underway. In some cases, the time between detection and destruction can be shorter than the duration of the intercepted call itself. The strike is not just fast, it is final. Cartel maritime smuggling is fast, adaptive, and deeply entrenched. At sea, every smuggling route is a lifeline, and every lifeline can be cut. The US has the tools to do it, not just through raw naval firepower, but through a layered, coordinated web of assets that choke those routes until nothing moves without being seen, tracked, and intercepted. The front line in this fight is the guided missile destroyer. Ships like the USS Sampson or USS Gravely are mobile interdiction hubs, capable of projecting US power deep into smuggling lanes far from American shores. With embarked helicopters and well-trained boarding teams, they can shadow a suspect vessel for hours before moving in or close the distance on a go-fast boat that thinks it can outrun pursuit. The presence of a destroyer offshore is a deterrent in itself. Closer to shore, where the labyrinth of coastal inlets and island chains offer smugglers cover, the littoral combat ship, LCS, steps in. Agile and fast, ships like the USS Minneapolis-St. Paul specialize in nearshore operations, exactly where cartel traffickers feel most secure. These ships often carry U.S. Coast Guard law enforcement detachments, LEDETs, who have the legal authority to board, search, and seize narcotics on the high seas. Their sense of security, it turns out, was a miscalculation. No naval chokehold works without the U.S. Coast Guard. They are the lead U.S. agency for maritime drug interdiction, and their reach extends far beyond U.S. territorial waters through counter-drug agreements with partner nations. The Coast Guard's layered approach, big cutters for endurance, fast boats for quick reaction, and aircraft for wide-area surveillance, ensures there are no gaps traffickers can exploit. Above it all, the eyes of U.S. maritime surveillance are always open. Aircraft like the P-8 Poseidon and unmanned MQ-4C Triton patrol vast stretches of ocean, tracking suspicious contacts for hours or even days without detection. This intelligence is fed directly to surface assets, guiding destroyers, LCS, and Coast Guard cutters toward high-probability targets. By the time a boarding team arrives, the vessel has already been watched, profiled, and tracked in real time. Specialized LEDETs are the tip of the spear in these operations. They bring both tactical skill and legal authority to the fight. Trained in advanced boarding tactics, they can seize control of vessels in heavy seas, secure dangerous suspects, and collect admissible evidence for prosecution. The operational choreography is relentless. Intelligence from surveillance aircraft cues a destroyer hundreds of miles offshore. That destroyer launches its helicopter, which intercepts a high-speed boat and uses precision rifle fire to disable its engines. Simultaneously, a Coast Guard cutter closes in to take custody, while LEDETs board and secure the load. Cartel go-fast boats, semi-submersibles, and fishing vessels all face the same problem: speed and stealth work only until detection. Once identified, U.S. assets can maintain contact indefinitely. Even if a smuggler throws cargo overboard to avoid capture, the Coast Guard can recover and use it as evidence. Over time, these repeated interdictions force cartels to invest more in evasion. Longer routes, riskier weather, less efficient loads, all of which cut into profits and strain their operations. The strength of this approach is its multi-domain nature. Surface ships physically intercept and board vessels, aircraft see far beyond the horizon, and special teams execute precision seizures with legal backing. Each asset on its own is formidable. Together, they form a seamless interdiction system that can operate day and night across thousands of miles. The message to cartels is unmistakable. There is no point along your maritime route where you are beyond reach. For the cartels, the psychological impact is just as damaging as the material losses. The knowledge that a destroyer could appear hundreds of miles offshore, that a P-8 could be shadowing their vessel unseen, or that a Coast Guard helicopter could disable their engines in seconds changes their entire risk calculation. The balance of power at sea has simply shifted. At over a mile away, The man at the table has no idea he's already dead. He laughs with his bodyguards, oblivious to the fact that a US Special Operations sniper team has spent days tracking his every move, studying his routines, waiting for the single moment when the shot will end his reign. This is how elite sniper teams take out high-value cartel targets, silently, surgically, and with a precision that rewrites the rules of engagement. The foundation of this capability is hardware, extreme long-range platforms purpose-built for this kind of mission. The Barrett M107, a semi-automatic 50 caliber rifle, delivers devastating kinetic energy even at extreme distances. For missions demanding adaptability, teams often use the Barrett MRAD, a modular system capable of switching calibers for different ranges and conditions. These rifles are more than weapons. They are tools of precision engineering. The men below mistook their distance for safety, an illusion we have engineered out of existence. But a world-class rifle is worthless without the right target, and this is where precision targeting and intelligence integration come in. Sniper teams don't just set up and hope, they arrive on target with a dossier built from real-time drone surveillance, intercepted communications, and human intelligence reports. This is pattern-of-life analysis. Every detail is mapped to minimize risk and maximize certainty. If the target has a habit of stepping onto a balcony at 7:12 a.m. for a cigarette, that moment becomes the window. Stealth is non-negotiable. These operations live or die on concealment. Teams move into position under cover of darkness, trekking miles through hostile terrain, carrying not just their rifles but spotting scopes, ballistic computers, and camouflage nets. A sniper unseen is a sniper alive, and in these missions, detection means mission failure. When the moment comes, the environment becomes the invisible adversary. Ballistic calculations are the difference between history-making precision and a wasted shot. Snipers account for wind drift, humidity, temperature, and even the spin of the bullet over long distances. At 2 kilometers, a light crosswind can shift a 50 caliber round off target by feet. This is why every elite sniper team includes a spotter whose job is to read the environment and feed data to the shooter. Using advanced optics and ballistic calculators, they make micro adjustments until the solution is perfect. The math is unforgiving. The shot is final. These missions don't happen in isolation. The sniper element might be just one piece of a wider special operations framework, supported by electronic warfare units jamming communications, drones feeding live aerial imagery, and quick reaction forces on standby. Every update from the field is fed directly to the sniper team. When the shot comes, it's not the cinematic chaos most people imagine. The rifle bucks, the spotter calls the impact, and in less than 2 seconds, the target drops. At extreme distances, the sound of the shot might not even reach the target's position before they're hit. Their final moments are a silent exchange between our team and the laws of physics. The psychological effect of these strikes is as important as the tactical outcome. A sniper shot from over a mile away shatters the illusion of invincibility instantly. Suddenly, no safe house feels safe, and no meeting feels secure. This disruption forces leaders into defensive postures, making them easier to track and harder to command effectively. Breaking a cartel's will to fight before the first shot is fired is not a matter of luck. It is a deliberate campaign to make them doubt, fear, and turn on themselves. Psychological operations, or PSYOPs, are the weapon that works in the shadows, cutting into the enemy's morale without ever touching their bodies. Against Mexican cartels, whose power depends as much on perception and reputation as on guns and money, a well-executed PSYOP can be more devastating than a direct strike. The objective is simple: make every cartel member believe that resistance is hopeless, their leadership is compromised, and survival depends on surrender, defection, or retreat. The first strike in this psychological battlefield comes through targeted propaganda. Leaflets dropped over strongholds, radio broadcasts in local dialects, and viral videos can hammer a single message. Your bosses are falling, your allies are betraying you, and the enemy is unstoppable. Every image of a handcuffed boss and every convoy of seized weapons is a reminder that the walls are closing in. We have weaponized their own failures against them. Fear deepens when propaganda exposes betrayal. By revealing real or fabricated examples of cartel members turning informant, U.S. forces can seed paranoia in the ranks. Your partner is working for us is a psychological time bomb. Once that thought takes hold, trust decays, alliances crumble, and every interaction becomes suspect. PSYOPs also exploit personal and cultural vulnerabilities. In the criminal underworld, loyalty is often balanced against family safety. Personalized messaging, sometimes using the operative's own name or family details, can bypass bravado and go straight to fear. Such messages, coupled with offers of safe passage or relocation, weaponize the human instinct to protect loved ones. Fear becomes unshakable when backed by visible, undeniable force. Publicizing surveillance footage, especially of cartel leaders unaware they are being watched, strips away the illusion of control. When every vehicle movement and every meeting feels like it could be tracked, the psychological weight is suffocating. This is not about proving military superiority, it's about making the opponent believe that the fight is already lost. We are not simply fighting their soldiers, we are fighting their morale. Undermining leadership authority is critical. Disinformation campaigns can suggest that a leader is negotiating with the enemy, hoarding resources, or fleeing the country. Even baseless rumors can destabilize a leader's grip if repeated enough within the network. An operation that makes a feared leader look weak or cowardly can dismantle years of cultivated fear in days. Cartels rely on secure communications, propaganda of their own, and carefully managed reputations online. Disrupting those channels, hacking social media accounts, flooding messaging groups with false orders, or leaking sensitive information creates chaos. If a cartel cannot trust its own communications, operational tempo slows, mistakes multiply, and morale suffers. Misdirection becomes a force multiplier. Send fighters to defend an empty location while their real assets are seized, and the resulting confusion will spread faster than any bullet. The ultimate goal is not to kill every fighter or destroy every asset, but to make the cartel destroy itself from within. By the time the first tactical unit moves in, leadership is mistrusted, communications are compromised, morale is shattered, and defection feels like the only escape. Fear, mistrust, and doubt become the U.S. military's most effective allies. When executed with precision, psychological operations leave the enemy fighting ghosts, unsure of who to trust, where to turn, or why they should keep fighting at all. In that mental vacuum, collapse is not just possible, it is inevitable. Cartel hideouts are designed to vanish in plain sight. Camouflage safe houses, jungle compounds hidden under tree canopies, fortified ranches bristling with guards. They rely on secrecy, local intimidation, and the assumption that by the time an attack is underway, it will be too late for the attacker to act with precision. Precision-guided munitions, PGMs, erase that assumption. They turn the concept of hidden into an illusion, striking without warning, with surgical accuracy that makes escape almost impossible. The foundation of this capability is the PGM's guidance system. Unlike unguided dumb bombs that follow a fixed ballistic path, PGMs are built to think mid-flight, adjusting, correcting, and refining their trajectory as they close in on their target. Whether they're guided by GPS coordinates, laser designation from a drone, infrared imaging that locks onto heat signatures, or active radar homing, these weapons can strike within a few meters of their intended aim point. That difference is the gap between leveling an entire block and obliterating a single reinforced room in the middle of it. The technology allows targeting with remarkable specificity. A laser-guided bomb, for example, can follow a beam invisible to the naked eye, painted onto a cartel's reinforced bunker by a surveillance drone circling miles away. A GPS-guided missile can be programmed with coordinates taken from a real-time intelligence feed and still hit that exact point, even if clouds, dust, or darkness obscure the target. Infrared seekers can home in on the heat from running generators or vehicles inside a compound. This diversity in guidance methods means that environmental conditions, fog, rain, night, do not negate the strike capability. The mountain, once their shield, has become a monument to their miscalculation. Mid-flight course correction is what transforms a good strike into a perfect one. Cartel leaders may think that moving vehicles or relocating within a compound during an incoming attack will save them. PGMs remove that margin for survival. If a target vehicle changes course after launch, a munition like the AGM-114R Hellfire can adjust in real time, swinging its path to meet the new trajectory. If wind gusts or thermal currents shift its flight path, onboard sensors and control fins make the corrections instantly. The weapon remains locked on, and the strike lands as intended. This adaptability is critical for dynamic targeting, the military term for hitting a target of opportunity that appears suddenly and may vanish quickly. Imagine a cartel convoy leaving a safe house just minutes after its location is confirmed by drone surveillance. A PGM can be in the air within moments, launched from an aircraft loitering over the horizon. From the first warning to impact, maybe less than 5 minutes. Not enough time for the convoy to disperse, take cover, or escape the blast radius. The element of surprise is magnified by range. An F-15E Strike Eagle could release a Joint Direct Attack munition, a JDAM, from outside audible range. A Reaper drone, flying at 25,000 feet, could deliver a Hellfire missile to a window without anyone in the compound hearing the aircraft. By the time the target is aware, the munition is seconds from impact. That absence of visible or audible warning robs cartel forces of their primary survival tactic: rapid dispersal. The precision of PGMs also makes them politically and strategically viable in environments where collateral damage must be minimized. Urban hideouts often sit near civilian homes or businesses. A traditional airstrike risks significant unintended damage, but a GPS or laser-guided bomb can hit a single floor of a building while leaving the surrounding structures intact. PGMs are also platform agnostic. They can be launched from fast jets, slow-moving drones, attack helicopters, naval vessels, or even ground-based artillery. This flexibility means that the weapon can be tailored to the mission's stealth and timing requirements. A drone strike offers low visibility and persistence over the target area. A fast jet can deliver munitions within minutes over vast distances. Naval platforms can strike inland targets from international waters. The cartel has no single axis of threat to guard against. The strike could come from anywhere. Integration with intelligence and surveillance assets makes this capability exponentially more lethal. A cartel hideout identified by a SIGINT intercept, perhaps a phone call traced to a specific compound, can be confirmed visually by a high-altitude reconnaissance aircraft or a low-orbit satellite. Once confirmed, the coordinates are instantly uploaded to the weapons system. Within moments, the strike is underway. This fusion of intelligence and weaponry is what makes PGMs ideal for dismantling cartel operations. Cartel leaders move frequently, changing safe houses and using encrypted communications to evade detection. But once their location is exposed, even briefly, PGMs allow forces to act immediately, without assembling ground forces or risking prolonged firefights. The strike is not just fast, it is final. What took them years to bury took seconds to exhume. The tactical benefits ripple outward. By eliminating high-value targets without warning, PGMs disrupt the cartel's command structure, forcing sudden leadership changes that create confusion and operational pauses. Safe houses storing weapons or drugs can be destroyed before shipments move, choking supply lines. Meeting points for planning or negotiation can be reduced to rubble in a single strike, scattering alliances and undermining morale. Even as cartel groups adapt, the versatility of PGMs maintains the edge. If they begin using hardened structures, bunker-busting variants of guided munitions can penetrate and destroy them. If they attempt to disperse into smaller units, smaller-yield PGMs launched from drones can target each element individually. In the end, PGMs transform the battlefield into a one-sided contest. The cartel may never see the platform that launched the strike, may never hear the munition approaching, and will have no meaningful opportunity to respond once the weapon is inbound. The first sign of attack is often the explosion itself. This is not warfare as the cartels understand it. It is an execution of precision speed, and inevitability.